I think if I hear you call me Becky one more time, six-pack, I'm gonna pop your tops. All six of them.
Who are you?
Hey there, this is Matt once again. Welcome back to another review, and this is a paid request from... I'm not sure if he wants me to say his real name, so the moniker was Swamp Man Outdoors. And very nice person. They sent a request via PayPal. Thank you so much for that. If anyone wants to request pretty much any type of videos, topics, reactions, lists, reviews, pretty much anything, feel free to send them either directly to my PayPal or join my Patreon. Both things are down below in the info box. Now, Sally could not get to it when he wanted me to, but hopefully this is the next best thing. It's a review for Fight Club from 1999, which is a film that... 1999 was one of those years that a lot of people looked at as a certain genesis of filmmaking, because the same year you had this film, you had The Sixth Sense, you had The Blair Witch Project, you had The Matrix, American Beauty, I think being John Malkovich, somewhere around there, I believe. These films that, whether you like them or not, for a lot of people have become part of either cultural significance. People remember them for one way or another. Some people feel they helped change the landscape of filmmaking with movies afterward. Honestly, I don't know about all that. All I can say is I've always enjoyed Fight Club. And yes, I will talk about Fight Club. And I will still talk about Fight Club. It's directed by David Fincher. And I think it's one of his best films. I really enjoy it. But I enjoy, other than Alien 3... I enjoy a lot of his early stuff. I like Seven. The Game is my favorite of his. I really like the story. I love Michael Douglas's performance in The Game. But this is up there. This is up there. This is definitely in my top 3 favorites. Panic Room I enjoyed. I'd probably say this is my second favorite for David Fincher. I'd probably say The Game, Fight Club, and maybe Seven would be the top 3. Because it's a very interesting story that's very well done on a technical note, showing at times going in depth into certain sequences, which he will later utilize in Panic Room. Those nice shots showcasing the whole inside of this apartment and this building. Here it's other structures, or there's a scene when Edward Norton's talking about all the materialism he's buying and what everything costs, and oh, if I get all this, I'll feel complete, and the way that's visualized. There'll be times with one character talking to the camera and explaining what's going on, and like Edward Norton explaining Brad Pitt's job of splicing the film and editing, and some of the little Easter eggs that Brad Pitt puts into the movies, which I'll get to that. And it's definitely a film that has a solid cast, well done performances. A twist that I thought was actually worthwhile, and watching it again, compared to a lot of twists, this one I thought synced up fairly well, in which when you watch it again, there wasn't a whole lot of points where I go, well, wait a minute, if that's that, but knowing what the twist is, I'm like, okay, I could buy that happening, and it's an interesting film to watch a second time. It has some good song choices. The end, Pixies, "Where Is My Mind?" That's just the perfect song for the ending of this flick. And it's one of those movies where, well, the story of the film is based on a book, and Edward Norton, he plays this guy who's an automobile recall specialist, where he flies on a plane, again, looking at certain cars, and if something happened with the car, take pictures, what needs to be recalled, what doesn't, but he's just unfulfilled with the job. He has insomnia, he can never get any sleep, and his first step into curing that is going to these support groups. And he meets Meatloaf, the singer, Meatloaf a Day, who plays, well, as one person calls him, bitch tits. That a person who has estrogen levels up, so he has these big breasts. But the character, a very sweet character, and by doing these support groups, he's able to help himself cry, and finally get a good night's sleep. And now he's addicted to going to these different support groups, and by doing that, meets this woman, Helena Bonham Carter. And that's especially when you're getting to the mind of a guy that really wanted to take you through a particular journey with this picture, where it has these scenes that if you watch them by themselves, you go, what the fuck? But in a weird way, they fit with the whole piece. For example, one of the support groups, it talks about, you find your animal power, your animal self, whatever. And so he visualized himself in a cave, and there's a penguin, and the soft voice go, slide. Which I'm sad that penguin never came back. But see, as I'm describing it, if you've never seen them, you go, what the fuck? Exactly. But it's taking you this trippy, quirky journey. Although I believe the first time you see Brad Pitt, he has like a penguin thing on him, I believe. I could be wrong. But the support groups are helping a little bit, but not fully, because there's even a point like he wishes he was in something would happen. He needs excitement in his life. He needs something to change, and he feels like he can't change it, that he's stuck no matter what he does. And man, like, what if a plane crash happened? He's visualizing the plane crash around him while no one else is reacting. He had some very fun visual gags and elements that really keep the viewer on guard as to what the hell's going to happen next. And ultimately he meets this other guy who made soap, Tyler Durden, played by Brad Pitt. And I thought both these guys worked well in the movie. Edward Norton, I do think he's a solid actor, whether it be in Primal Fear, this movie, The Incredible Hulk. I thought, Brad Pitt, I loved him in Ad Astra. I think it's an underrated film. God, that came out 2019 or 2018? I want to say 2019. Either way, I thought it was an underrated film. No one talked about the movie. He was in Seven. He's been in a lot of films. Liked him in Once Upon a Time in Hollywood, the Quentin Tarantino picture. And like I said, they work well together. And Edward Norton's character starts listening more and more to Brad Pitt as his life seems to be crumbling down, his apartment blows up, and Brad Pitt starts telling him stuff that's is making more and more sense to Edward Norton. Like, forget about your stuff. Forget about your material stuff. You know, the stuff you own end up owning you. It's like, come on, you ever been in a fight? How you know if you've never been in a fight? How you know what that feels like? How you know what that's like? Come on, hit me as hard as you can. Ah, you hit me in the ear. And people see this, and then this whole thing starts growing with these fight clubs. Sort of and in a way the film can play, and especially in today's age, where maybe men feel emasculated, or they feel put down, or they feel structured in this straitjacket. They can't move. They want to express themselves. The animosity, the masculinity, whatever the hell you want to put it. So they just fucking beat the fuck out of someone for 10 minutes. You're a god, or the shit hit out, and you still have adrenaline, excitement like a superhero movie or something. But then it's done. You go on your daily business. But there's that moment where you seem like you're free, and that animalistic side of you letting out, and this primal side just wanting to beat the shit out of something. But it's nothing evil, mean, rude about it. No hard feelings, just... Whew. Remember the rules. You do not talk about Fight Club. Second rule, you do not talk about Fight Club. And the fights, they're not fights like you would see in Enter the Dragon, Bloodsport, not those kind of choreographed fights, just basic brawling, and it's more about the story of it, less about the artistry of the fights. And that's kind of what I know going into this film, which is funny, because when this movie came out, 20th Century Fox did not know how to market this movie at all. They didn't know what the fuck they had. They didn't like the film. Of course, 20th Century Fox face. We don't know how to market it, so they market it as a fight movie, which there's fighting in it, but it's not a fight movie. This is not Bloodsport. This is not Shoot Fighter or Gymkhana or Super Fighter. You know, Super Fight. It's not that kind of movie. They even marketed it on WWF. No, that's not the same movie, man. It's not. It's a good movie. But it's not the same. It's not the same. So yeah, Fox didn't know what the fuck to do with it. And so, you know, it's like, well, what can we do? So anyway, getting back to the movie. You have these conversations like, who would you fight? What celebrity would you fight? William Shatner. I fight Shatner. And more people... These fight clubs grow more and more. They get assignments like pick a fight with a stranger. And like these little different asides, whether this growing relationship with Helena Bonham Carter, fucking Tyler Durden, and Edward Norton, they're just out of it. And you get these reactions of Helena Bonham Carter that seem confusing, but when you watch the film again, it does make perfect sense, her confusion, so to speak. And again, it plays around with the elements of film, like when Edward Norton's talking to the audience, explaining what Brad Pitt's doing, about how he cuts with and edits with film, and you have to change the projection. When you change the projection, there's these things called cigarette burns, and then a cigarette burn appears, and how Brad Pitt, being a dick, will slice in little like cut pictures into like a Disney film, which I don't know if they say Disney film, but which I believe that has happened. I forget the story of it. I believe in history that's happened where someone took like a Disney film and they edited like a little nudity thing in there. I forget the details. I wish I knew that offhand. I'm sure you can find it on the internet. It's the internet, but... And those moments are kind of like flavoring, their spices, their bit more of the salt on those french fries to make it taste a little bit better, a little bit more seasoning to make that taste a little bit more, give a little bit more personality, a little bit more flavor. And sometimes that could be pretentious or ostentatious, not the word I'm looking for. It could be Who gives a shit? Just fuck it. Who cut it out? Here, I thought it worked. It was still interesting. It's beautiful looking film. The cinematography, like I said, the music. My favorite being the Pixie song at the end. And it still is like, where? I've seen the film before, but even it's like, where's this film going? And you could kind of get Brad Pitt's understanding. You could get his point of view. You're not how much money you make. You're not how much money you have. You're not your fucking tatties. You know, just that, this stuff here is not you. You are you. And it seems like Brad Pitt is the epitome of who people want to be. The beautiful looking guy, muscled up, sure of himself, no fear, stop trying to control, just let it go. That freedom, that mentality, which a lot of people get drawn towards too, but then goes into anarchy. To me, some people are absolutely 100% for Tyler Durden, Brad Pitt's character, even till the very end. The way I looked at it was, that's good to a point, except anarchy. Danger is when you go too far on the other side of the pendulum. That's why there's a middle portion to be had, and I guess I have to get into spoilers. Most people probably have seen Fight Club. If you haven't, this is major, major, major spoilers. When you get to the truth that Brad Pitt and Edward Norton are the same guy, or the same character. I know certain critics like Roger Ebert, they felt this was a cheat. I didn't think it was a cheat. At the time, I didn't expect it. I went, what? But when you watch the film, and they've built up how out of it Edward Norton's character is. They built out how he can't sleep, insomnia. He even mentions how he could see things like hallucinations during these insomniac episodes. And like, he's not in a clear-cut state of mind. And watching the film again and getting that mindset, this is a guy, he felt like he couldn't change. He felt like he could not get out of his bubble, his frozen in time mentality. So this other version of self pulls him out, forces him into doing this stuff. Edward Norton's the more, I would say Edward Norton's, he's the more moral, empathetic, at least towards the Meatloaf character, and ultimately by the end Helena Bonham Carter's character. But the good points of Brad Pitt's, the other side of his persona, is the strength, the bravery, the be able to hold your head high and not be afraid, and bravado. But also there comes a point, there comes a curse to that. When the truth is being told, as pretty much he's talking to himself, Brad Pitt's like, we gotta get rid of her. She knows too much. Helena Bonham Carter's character. And again, stuff like that showcases, yeah, Brad Pitt, that's too far. That's the other side of this pendulum. No, by the end, that's why when he destroys that part of himself by shooting himself, that's why he needs to get that part erased and vanquished. So that this middle portion, where he's not the insecure, afraid of everything, can't do anything, but he's also not the anarchist, run over people type of, being in the middle. And man, it has a crazy ending. Because now that the Fight Club and all this stuff has this anti-consumerism, anti-government, I don't want to say militia, but this group, like, who knows how big this is. You have that moment where it's with Helena Bonham Carter, everything's going to be fine, trust me. And then boom, all these buildings explode. I believe they contain like credit card records. So if you have a debt, not anymore. I can only hope and assume. I'm trying to remember. Are there people in those buildings? I have to hope there's not. I'm trying to remember. I'm sure they said it, but I don't want to get it wrong. I believe they did say there's no one in there. That they got evacuated somehow. Even though you do see lights in the buildings. I'm trying to remember. So if I'm wrong, I apologize. But the way I looked at it was that there's no one in the buildings. It was the obliteration of this. What's a part of consumerism? Credit card debts, credit card records. And then Edward Norton's final line, "You met me in a very strange part of my life." The way they hold hands and look at the red ditch, and the CGI is not that bad for a film from 1999. When those buildings explode in front of them, it doesn't look that bad. It doesn't look that out of date, or what's the word I'm looking for? It doesn't look that dated at all. And yeah, that song is really the cherry on top. Where is my mind? Where is my mind? But I mean, whether it be the scene with what Brad Pitt says to Edward Norton when the stuff he uses for soap and burning into his hand, and what Brad Pitt's talking to him, trying to teach him. It's just a lot of interesting stuff in that script that I'm sure smarter people could contemplate and pontificate more than me. To me, I just enjoyed it as an interesting movie-going experience. Well, I didn't see it in the theater, but when I first saw it at home, it's just a very interesting... sadly, I realized I don't have the film. I thought I did, but it must have been one of those things that when a DVD gets scratched, I sell, or I get rid of it. Can't sell it because I don't want to sell someone a scratched DVD, and then I forget to pick it up again. I'm assuming it's on Blu-ray. But, yeah, so I watched it online, and it still held up. Still thought it was a good movie. Very acting, direction, visual, and I don't think his twist was insulting or cheap. Some are, and some believe that way. I disagree. So yeah, I'm a big fan of Fight Club. So with that said, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll see you later. Bye bye.